All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National CDS webinar for this month of July. And if you can hear me clearly, I'd like you to drop some emojis in the chat box to let me know that you can hear me clearly. Right? Can I see the comments in the chat box to show that you can hear me clearly? All right. So I need you to do me a quick favor. Thank you very much, Mohammed. Thank you so much for the comment. So I need you to do me a very quick favor. I need you to drop in your chat box the location where you're joining us from. If you're joining us from Abuja, Port Harcourt, Lagos, wherever it is you're joining us from today, I need you to drop it in the chat box that I am joining from Lagos, I'm joining from Warri, I'm joining from Taraba, I'm joining from FCT, right? Thank you very much. So my name is Mercy Daramola, and I'll be your host today alongside Comfort, the national head of Hackathon, right? And today is a very important day. It's a national CDS webinar. We have about 120 persons on the call right now, and I'd like us to get more numbers. So if you are here and you're on your CDS group, I'd like you to share to the CDS group that we have started the event already, right? And that they need to be here because it's a very important topic today that we are treating, right? So now, before we go on, we'd need to take the national anthem, and I'd like us to sit back for that.
Nigeria, we healthy, our own genetic land. No tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigeria, small and proud to serve our sovereign motherland. Our flag shall be our symbol, that truth and justice reign. In peace, all heart to honor, and peace we come as gain. To hand unto our children, our banner we all sing. Oh God of hope, create, that is our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria shall be blessed.
All right, thank you so much to everyone who knows and sang that anthem. Nigeria shall be blessed, right? All right, apologies for that break, right? So, before we start the session today, I understand that every one of us on this call, or majority of us on this call, are core members. And to be honest, being a core member is an elite feeling. It's a very interesting one, but there's a question that many core members are not answering, right? There's a question that always comes into our mind as we go through our service year, wearing our khaki, our 7/7. And that question is, what is the plan when this khaki goes off? What happens when we are no longer wearing the khaki? I mean, when I was a comment, that question. What happens when the allowance stops? What happens when you are no longer wearing the uniform? Today, we are not just here to give you a theoretical explanation to that. We are not here to explain some boring, talk about word with no action. We're here to talk about real execution, right? So I want you to get your pen and paper, get your notepads and get ready because we have an amazing speaker. We want to help you to discover your natural strengths, how you can bring out what is already inside of you and aligning them with something that is already global. high paying jobs when you pass out is something that most core members desire, if not all, right? So this is about making you a high value asset. This session is going to expose you to how you should be in the corporate world. And before I go on, I'd like you to always drop, I can see a lot of comments in the chat box, but I'd like you to always follow and drop your questions in the chat box, because when she comes up and she begins talking and you have a question, don't wait until we ask you to ask questions, right? You could drop your question in the chat box, and we have Comfort. She is looking out for your questions and she'll be ready to ask them to our speaker after our speaker, finishes the session. So without so much, I'll be introducing our speaker for today. And she's no other person but Oluwaseyi Adebimpe Ojo. She's an accomplished legal practitioner, a regulatory compliance specialist, and corporate governance expert. She has a deep passion for social impact, public policy, and systemic change. She actively contributes to developmental frameworks and national advocacy aimed at sustainable youth empowerment. And she's also the visionary founder of the Nature Nurture Initiative, an organization dedicated to driving developmental growth, advocacy, and strategic empowerment at the grassroots level, leveraging her extensive legal background. Oluwaseyi continues to bridge the gap between policy, design, and real-world execution, helping young Nigerians to protect and maximize their potentials. So, ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, I'd like to introduce to the stage Oluwaseyi Adebimpe Ojo. Please put your virtual hands together as we have her on stage right now. Oluwaseyi, you're welcome. You have the floor now.
Thank you. Good morning, Mercy. Please let me know if you can hear me and if you can see my presentation on the screen.
Yes, we can hear you, and your presentation is already added to the stage.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here. I think I was here last month or so. I can't really remember, but yeah. So, thank you for the good job at introducing me. In the next 20 to 30 minutes or so, I will try to run through my presentation so that we can have time to take questions and to interact a bit before we're done. I apologize. It's raining really heavily where I am, so you may be hearing a lot of background noise. It's the rain. I even had to step out just to get proper network in the car. So today we'll be talking about something that I find very interesting and very relevant to our society here, especially to us core members, because a number of us are now trying to prepare for the real world. I won't say prepare. I would say we are already in the real world actually, because a lot of people make do with their service here, and it sets the tone for them. So today I will be briefly taking us through personality and career assessment, basically helping us to understand ourselves for career success, for job readiness, and for preparedness for the real world as it relates to our career. So why are we here? Basically, many graduates, they always ask, after more than just studying courses in the university, because I know a number of us actually were not given the courses that we feel we were best suited for, or we did not study the course that we wanted to study, or life just happened, and now you're a graduate with a degree that you don't necessarily know what to do with it. I hope that this session would help us understand that we are more than our degree, we are more than our we're more than our grades and so many other things. We're a combination of our choices, our experiences, and how best we're able to harness these choices and experiences. So I would start by saying that many people ask what career is right for me? Why do some people thrive in certain jobs and others struggle? And this does not even mean that some people they finish with good grades better than a lot of others. And in the job market, they see people that finish with a third class thriving or succeeding better than they are, because the determinant for success is not just your grades. Yes, it's important. Anybody that asks me, I will say it's important to get good grades, but I would also emphasize that good grades can only bring you into an interview. When you are before a panel being interviewed, much more is being considered. So we're going to be highlighting what employers look at when they're deciding on who to hire. So the questions that we have asked: what career is right for me? Why? How can I ensure that I thrive in my chosen career or in a job that I find myself? These answers, there are three things that often must be in place for you to say you have gotten to the right place. The first one for me, the most important one for me, is self awareness. Self awareness, in addition to your skills, and then the right opportunity presenting itself. So, how do we make sure that these three things are present for us to get to where we want to be? We're first of all going to be talking about personality. We mentioned self awareness, and the first stage for understanding self awareness is your personality. And your personality, they are a combination of your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, your motivations. Basically, I'm sure when we have conversations in the outside world, we hear people often say, "Oh, I'm just like that. I'm just built this way," or "I just walk a certain way," or "This is just who I am." So who you are is a combination of all of these things that I would highlight. It's a combination of your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors, your attitudes, and it shapes how you interact with the world and your environment. Who you are influences how you speak to others, how you lead others. Who you are influences your work preferences. For instance, I'm still going to talk about this, but people that are introverted most likely will not be in a career that involves them dealing with people, not necessarily dealing with people, but having to interact with people, having to be cheerful. Imagine you run a company and you put an extremely introverted person that doesn't like to talk to people. You put the person as a front desk officer or a secretary that has to interact. You can imagine how that experience is going to be. So people tend to choose their work preferences based on who they are. They may not be aware of this, but that's the whole point of us meeting here today, to help us understand that all of these things, whether they're deliberate choices or not, they actually influence us in our career and in our job roles. Who you are influences your decision making. Some people can be very spontaneous in making decisions, while some others have to list out pros and cons, and they are very conservative and they like to plan ahead, while some people can just do things in the spur of the moment. Who you are also influences how you relate with your relationships. So moving on, why does it matter in my career choice? I stated earlier that different personalities thrive in different environments. You need to understand your personality type. This will help you identify careers and roles where you will naturally excel. It's better. Okay, just as an example, we know that the World Cup is currently going on, and there's always been this timeless back and forth between football fans on who the greatest of all footballer is, between Messi and Ronaldo. And some people said Messi is born with he is just naturally talented, and some people said Ronaldo likes to, if he put in hard work, he put in years of practice and years of playing and developing himself to get to where he is. And you can see that those people, for them, it's easier. For some people, imagine the way we are making them feel very important because they're actually stars in their field. Now imagine these two people in basketball. You can imagine how it will have been a terrible fit. So we're here to help you identify where you would naturally thrive, what makes you feel excited, what gives you fulfillment, and ultimately all of this will lead you to succeeding. Because no matter how skilled, no matter how intelligent a person is, if the person does not fit in naturally to that career, if the person is not excited, if the person does not feel energized, the person will not succeed. So it is much more than just your grades. People are naturally drawn to different types of people at work. Um, and they are naturally drawn to different aspects of work. If you really take time to study human behavior, which I think everyone should do, you will understand why things are the way they are. You will see, imagine if you give a group of people, for instance, if you give a group of 10 people a task to achieve, you don't appoint a leader, just give them the task. You realize that just by them interacting, a leader is going to emerge. Somebody is going to emerge to organize the people. And the truth of the matter is that the person that is organizing and leading is not necessarily the smartest person in the room, but he just has that character trait of leading, and he's able to organize people. And then there'll be somebody who will be doing the background work, who probably is good with this research, who probably is good with solving complex problems, or probably is good with bringing up ideas, but doesn't want to be tasked or burdened with the responsibility of organizing people, of having to instruct people, or of having to lead people. So these are two different people who are thriving. Imagine you place the person who wants to do the background work, you place the person as the leader of the team. There's going to be friction and people will not progress. So each preference in a work environment, it points towards a specific career path that aligns with your strengths. So we are here to help us find careers that are aligned with our natural strengths and our tendencies. When your personality fits your career, then you perform better, you stay motivated much longer, and you build a more fulfilled professional life. So we're going to be looking at it from the nature and nurture perspectives. What shapes who we are and what we can become, both your personality and your environment. Understanding your personalities, understanding your career potential, and understanding the powerful roles and strengths that you have would help you in understanding how to make choices for your future and for your development. Here, when we say nature, for those of you that have seen me or that know what the organization is all about, you will know that nature tends to refer to your innate traits, while nurture talks about your environment, external influences, and upbringing. All of this means that you are born with certain tendencies, but your character and capabilities can be developed intentionally. And all of this affects how our career thrives or otherwise as we go through life. So before we jump into career, I know a lot of people as core members already have thriving businesses, they already have thriving careers. And if you are that person and you found what works for you, then congratulations. But if you are yet to find what you want to do, you have a degree here, but you don't know in which industry necessarily you want to apply your degree or you want to build a career. Now, we're going to help you identify yourself. It's who you are. We're not going to present you something that is not already there, but it's just, remember when we first started in the first slide or so, we mentioned um self-awareness. Self-awareness begins with identity. So we're going to be saying before choosing your career, you must first understand yourself. This will help you in your career clarity. You know who you are, and then you can become more purposeful. So I would ask us to ask ourselves the following questions. Who am I? These questions are rhetorical, but I will want you to, I'm not expecting anybody to answer them now, but if you could take notes and write them down for your personal reflection, it would help you make sense or make better sense of who you are and what you want to do in your life. Who am I? What matters most to me? Make a list of all these things, and then you can just from the top two or top three, you can now say, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is what matters most to me. What energizes me? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What problems do I enjoy solving? Clarity begins with career clarity begins with self clarity. If you understand yourself, then you can better know that this is where I am better suited or better fitted to work with. Understanding temperament. I'm not going to dwell here because, like I mentioned, I believe that most of us must have had one or two experiences where we understand our temperament. But there are four major temperaments, and I'm sure we are familiar with them. We have the sanguine, we have the choleric, we have melancholic, we have the phlegmatic. And most people are a blend of these temperaments. Understanding your dominant type of temperament will help you choose an environment where you naturally thrive in. A sanguine person, for instance, needs to be in an energetic place. If you put a sanguine person in a team where everybody is dull and everybody is quiet, they would not thrive. They need to interact with people. They need to be in job roles that will allow them to mingle, that will allow them to bounce off ideas. Those kind of people, they don't function better alone. They function better in teams where they're able to go back and forth. Such people are enthusiastic, they're energetic, and they thrive in people-centered roles. Choleric people, for instance, they excel under pressure because these ones, you give them a goal, and the goal is the only thing that is important to them. They are laser focused and they are able to function alone. Imagine now you put somebody who thinks alone, who likes to be in a quiet place. You now put a person in a team of 10 people and you want them to be bouncing ideas off themselves constantly. That may happen maybe once or twice when you need to have group meetings. But if their day-to-day activity or their day-to-day jobs requires that they are always talking to people and engaging with people, you will actually drain their social battery, and it will not work for you as an employer or an employee. Melancholic people, they perform best with places that have structure. Meanwhile, the phlegmatic people, they are calm, they are cooperative, and they bring stability to any team. So now imagine that you are trying to form a team, because I'm giving this talk now with the well, I'm assuming that not everybody, which is a good assumption, not everybody would work in the same kind of environment. Not everybody will be applying for a 9 to 5. Some people will also want to be entrepreneurs who will be employers of labor. So you need to understand the temperament of yourself and the temperament of people, even in doing your job and in building your team. Most people need to do this so that you can thrive and have a seamless work environment. Personality and career fit. Different personalities thrive in different environments. Understanding that your natural strength will help you identify parts where you are most likely to succeed, where you will find fulfillment, and where you will make meaningful impact. So this goes from for example, leadership, management, entrepreneurship. So if you know that you are a very strong leader, you should be in a career that will maybe make you manage people, or you should be an entrepreneur. If you're someone that your strongest suit is analytical thinking, you are able to think very well, you're able to process ideas, you will fit maybe in areas of research or data analysis, because it will naturally come easy to you. You will fit in roles like law, things that maybe you need to analyze cases, you need to analyze scenarios and bring out results or bring out answers from them. For people that are creative, you will be like Madam Messi, who maybe knows how to bring ideas to life, be in media. You find yourself in design and marketing. For instance, I'm not a very creative person when it comes to media and design. So whenever I want to do all of these things, I make use of Canva, or I ask people who are experts to do all of these things, because that is not my very strong suit. If you, for instance, you like to help others, you may be interested in social work, you may be interested in law, you may be interested in education. If you are very strong in relationship building, then you will find yourself you will want to probably go in a career that will be dealing with human beings, maybe dealing with people. You may want to be a HR professional, you may want to go in public relations, or you may want to go in sales. If you put someone like me in sales now in a company that you own, the company is going to run down, because I'm not someone that is very out there, who likes to market to people, who likes to always be in people's faces. But some people, it comes naturally to them. They're not even trying to sell deliberately, but then they've seen their strengths, and they're able to take advantage of all of this. So what is career assessment? The components of career assessment, it's a combination of assessing your strengths, assessing your interests, assessing your personality traits, assessing your values, assessing your skills. Through this structure process, you will help you understand your all of these things, and it will give you the insight that you need to make informed career decisions, rather than just guessing which path to take. By going through a proper career structured career assessment, you'll be provided with a clear evidence-based foundation for your career journey. Benefits of career assessments: it helps you in your professional journey. It won't be like you are just winging it, or you are just going with the waves. You know that there's a structure, you know that there's a plan that you are following, and with this You will gain self-awareness. You'll be able to identify your core strengths. You'll be able to discover the career path that align with who you are. A lot of people in after a lot of people change careers, and I'm not saying it's not good to change your career, but a number of people, maybe 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, realize that, oh, I've been doing this and I'm tired of it. I need to reinvent myself. And that is because they just started discovering themselves much later in life. Imagine if they had known this thing from the very beginning. Imagine if they had not been influenced. Well, I understand that a number of people studied courses because of external or parental influences. And then down the line, they just know that, okay, this is not a good fit for me. And then they switch. I know someone, a friend of mine, who is a doctor because he has his medical degree, but he was in med school for 7 years, and after that, after his house job, he immediately went into tech. Now he's doing great things in tech. But imagine if he had not studied medicine and from university, maybe he did computer science or something, and he has just started doing his tech work. Imagine how he would have been thriving. So the knowledge, having a career assessment knowledge can make you better. It makes you more informed the career decisions, and gives you clarity and confidence. This helps you save a lot of time. So additional benefits to this include improved confidence, clearer sense of purpose, and the ability to articulate your value to employers. It also helps you prepare for job applications, and it helps you to position yourself for long-term success. I would like to say that in building the right career, you need to understand yourself and then understand the kind of environment that you want to be in. For instance, there are certain organizations that have certain kind of workplace culture. Some people operate open door policies, some are more closed off. Imagine if you want to work with an international organization, for instance, there are certain things that are expected of you, there are certain characteristics that are expected of you. So as you're analyzing yourself too, it's also important that we also take time to analyze the environment where we want to position ourselves for. So if you are looking to get into media, for instance, there's a way you will design your LinkedIn profile, there's a way you will present yourself, as opposed to somebody who wants to go into law or who wants to go into medicine. If you are going into media or something, you'll be able to show your creative part. If you're going into law, you need to showcase your analytical thinking part, your intelligence, maybe your communication skills, the fact that you articulate, and all of that. So different things need to be highlighted depending on what you want to do or what you want to see for yourself. Know your strengths. Strengths are activities that come naturally to you. They energize you and they produce good results consistently. Instead of dwelling on your weaknesses, focus on your strengths. Your own strength may be communication, another person's strength may be leadership, another person's strength may be organization, another person's own may be creativity. The most important thing is that you should align your career with your natural strength so that you're not constantly struggling every day of your life. Imagine if you're going to be working from, maybe we finish school, most of us finish school in our 20s, our early 20s, and you're working from them actively till maybe 60 or 65. Some people even work later, or depending on if you want to retire early. But at least for 30 years, a major part of your life, you will spend working. You cannot imagine how depressing and how sad it will be that you spend 30 years of your life doing something that makes you sad or that is a constant struggle to you. But when you align your career with your natural strength, then work becomes like it becomes something that you enjoy. It becomes fulfilling, and your performance improve. You stand out to employers. So invest time in discovering and developing what you do best. Employers hire more than degrees. I mentioned earlier, it's good to have good grades, it's good to have good degrees, it's good to have courses that are relevant in today's society. But much more than all of this, they look beyond the academic qualifications. They want candidates that bring a combination of their technical competence and strong employability skills. This will enable them to contribute meaningfully to the team from the onset. So technical skills like professional knowledge, industry certifications, and all of that, which you get from maybe your schools and all the courses that you take, data literacy, learning about specialized tools that are needed in your career, they're important. But much more than this, when I have five candidates who have the same degree, they have the same grades, How do I now determine who I'm going to employ? How do I determine who is the best fit for me in my career? This is where employability skills now come in. You have candidates A to E who have first class, three of them have first class, or four of all five of them have two ones. All five of them went to top universities, all five of them had extracurricular activities, all five of them had this certificate that you are requesting for. How do you now choose who is the best for you? This is where you now look at skills such as communication, you look at skills such as teamwork, you look at skills such as integrity, problem solving, adaptability, critical thinking, and so on and so forth. So, beyond just your degree, employers look at your character and your employability. Employers value reliability, they value integrity, they value accountability, professionalism, emotional maturity. All of these are not necessarily taught in the four walls of a classroom or a school. So your skills they get you hired, but your character will help you stay hired. Investing in developing your character as intentionally as you invest in developing your character, I apologize, as intentionally as you develop your skills. Emotional intelligence at work. This one, I don't know how to emphasize it, but a lot of adults, a lot of Nigerians that I've interacted with are not emotionally intelligent. Much more than just being book smart. In life, you need to be emotionally intelligent. Emotional intelligence is your ability to understand yourself, your ability to manage your emotions, understand others, and build healthy relationships. Unlike your IQ, EQ can be developed intentionally over time. Your emotional intelligence helps you improve your leadership effectiveness, helps you improve your teamwork and collaboration, it helps you improve workplace communication. Honestly, workplace communication, let me just call it workplace politics. In this life, if you want to thrive in a work environment, you need to excel at workplace communication. I cannot emphasize this enough. Overall career success, all of these are affected by your level of emotional intelligence. It helps you thrive. Most people that thrive in society is not just because of their degree, but because they are self-aware, they're empathetic, they have the right communication skills, and they know how to relate with people. People that make an impact on you, you tend to remember them and recommend them for your role. So you don't just remember people because they have good grades, but you remember how they make you feel. You remember how they carry themselves in the room. Remember what your interaction with them felt like. And all of this influences you in your career. So what are the common career mistakes that some graduates make? Being aware is the first step that you know to avoid these mistakes in your career. Avoiding these pitfalls would help us in our career journey. First of all, don't just follow trends blindly. Don't follow trends blindly. You know, I mentioned tech earlier that somebody left a medical degree to go out to pursue tech, and tech seems to be trending now. But imagine if tech is not your fit, or a particular aspect of tech is not your fit. Don't just follow people blindly. Don't follow trends blindly, or don't follow. Understand the reason behind every decision that you are making. Don't do things because everybody around you is doing it and then you begin to struggle and you are wondering why the people around you who are doing the exact same thing are not struggling. It's because they are doing the things that fit into their strengths. Meanwhile, you are just copying them when you should have taken time out to identify your strengths. Don't compare yourself with others constantly. Comparison is a thief of joy. And then our journeys are different. If you realize that I'm on a different path and some things may not always happen at the same time for you, you would have more peace. Ignoring your natural strengths and abilities, don't ignore them. You know, we always do this for businesses, for business, we always do this SWOT analysis. It's important. I would advise us that we do SWOT analysis on ourselves. Examine your strengths, examine your weaknesses, examine your opportunities and your threats, and invest more in your strengths while you try to look for how to give to what's the word now, when you give the role to somebody else. If you're building a team, when you know that I'm strong in this particular area, and I'm weak in the other area. You try to make sure that you give out the area of your weaknesses to somebody else who will thrive in that area. That way, there will be a balance. Don't choose career solely for money. I promise you that funds are important, money is important, finances are important, but at the end of the day, you can make money anywhere. You just need to find your fit. Even if your first year or your NYC year, you chose a job just because of the pay, make sure that at the end of the day, you don't just remain there for money, because trust me, you will become depressed, you become sad, you will become burnt out, and you will not even be feeling fulfilled where you are. Don't Another mistake is that people fail to develop soft and employability skills much more than your degree. Develop skills, attend seminars, go for workshops, volunteer. Another mistake is lack of awareness in decision making. Conducting a personal career audit. A personal career audit now is a structured self-reflection exercise that helps you understand who you are, what you offer, and where you are headed. Who you are, what you offer, and where you are headed. Make a list. I hope that we're taking notes for ourselves, because this is important for our journey. Understand who you are as in your personality, what you already have, your degree, what you can offer. Make a list of all of this, and then make a list of where you are headed or where you want to be. Give honest answers to these questions. And then by answering these questions, you will get a clearer picture of the strategy that you now want to take in going from where you are to where you want to be. What am I naturally good at? What do I genuinely enjoy doing? What matters most to me in work and life? What can I do well and what can I do consistently? Where can I contribute and add value? Review your answers regularly, because these answers they change as you grow. Believe me, the things that were important to me 3 years ago are not the same things that are important to me today. So it's important that we know that this is not just a one-off thing. We can actually be here. You can be in a career that makes you feel fulfilled and happy today. That doesn't mean that it will always be the same. So if we keep this at the back of our mind, at the end of the year, maybe when you're doing your yearly audit or every 2 years, you go back and say, okay, I'm here. I've been in this career or in this job for 2 years. How do I feel in this particular point in time? Do I still want to be here for the next 2 years, or do I think it's time for me to move on? So it's important that we constantly reflect at every point of our career journey where we find ourselves. Building your personal brand. What do you want to know? What do you want to be known for? Your personal brand is your reputation. What people say about you when you are not in the room. If you are not here now and we ask 5 people to say something about you, what would those things be? Would they be the things that you're proud of? Would they be things that you want to be known for? So ask yourself, what am I known for? What value do I bring? How do people describe me? Your brand is shaped by every interaction, every piece of work, and every commitment that you keep. So your brand is not just developed in one day. Messi and Ronaldo did not become who they are in one day. The people that win Nobel Prizes, the people that win Guinness Book of Records, they didn't become who they are in one day. They built at it consistently. So in building your brand is how you show up, is how you turn out, you respond to tasks that are given to you, is how you contribute in a team. And over time, you're building your career reputation. Build a reputation that is known for excellence, that is known for integrity, be dependable, and also ensure that you are learning every day. You are constantly improving yourself, consistently bringing your best self forward, both online and offline. Online is very important now, because everything that we do now, there's always a digital footprint. A strong personal brand open doors that your qualifications alone cannot open for you. So, developing career readiness, improve communication skills, learn digital skills, build a professional network. A professional network is very important in our days today, because most of the jobs that we get are based on recommendations. So, in addition to getting the experience and the skills, make sure that the right people know where they can find you. Volunteer when you need to volunteer, take courses when you need to take courses, and develop emotional intelligence. So, your career development plan from this session that we have now, Give yourself a target in the next 90 days. This is like the third quarter of the year. The year is already halfway gone. From now to the end of September, or maybe October 15th, for instance, give yourself a target. Create steps. Start small. Small intentional steps consistently over 90 days. They can transform your career trajectory and they can set you apart. So in these 90 days now, what should you do? Complete a personality assessment. These ones are available online. You can do personality assessment for your personality type, your temperament, your communication style, your leadership style, all of this. Do your assessment and do research on whatever result this assessment give you. Now do research on how this can be translated in benefiting your career. Identify your top strengths, update your CV, update your LinkedIn profile, learn one new professional skills, attend networking events. Because imagine you learn all these things and then you're just inside the house. Nobody knows that you are so skilled, nobody knows that you can do all of this. And consistently apply for opportunities. Know yourself and go further. The more you know yourself, the more you develop yourself and position yourself, the more you're able to go further. Thank you so much for having me. I hope that it's been a good use of your time and that maybe we have comments and questions. Thank you. So I'll be handing over to Comfort now. I don't know if you can hear me, or please let me know.
Wow, that was an insightful presentation, ma. We really appreciate. Thank you very much, ma. Thank you, ma. A lot has been said. I have my notes filled with so much value, and I hope every one of us out there took time to jot down, listen, and also assimilate a lot of knowledge. Well, it's time for questions. So please drop your questions. I'm looking right now at your comment section. So if you have questions, please drop the questions. But before we go into that, I would like us to appreciate our speaker. Please, your virtual hands, put your hands together for our speaker. Thank you very much, ma. We truly appreciate. Thank you. Um, I would also like to brief a little bit of what I don't know if some of us were not here at the beginning. I would like to also say she spoke about personal awareness. Who are you? Yeah, who are you? You need to answer that question personally. You also need to know your personality traits, those things that spur you to action, those things that get you energetic, those problems that call your attention. So getting to know all those things. I'm also listening to I'm holding on for your questions. So please drop your questions. They'll be answered. All right, before that, I have some questions. Ma'am, I don't know if you can hear me. The first question I have from my end is looking at the environment we found ourselves, Nigeria to be specific, little or no jobs, and the temptation to just take up any role is high. How do we manage our personality traits? For instance, someone that is introverted going into a field and may not necessarily help or carry or accommodate that trait. How do we manage our personality traits to fit in different roles, ma? I don't know if you get my question, man. I would like to take the question again.
Okay.
How do we manage our personality traits? For instance, someone that is introverted, trying to fit into a very public space. Can there be adjustments that can be made, or should we just opt out completely? Thank you, ma.
So the thing about personality is that there are certain things that we can't necessarily change about ourselves. Yeah. For instance, people that are sanguine, that are outgoing, that are energetic, you, you don't necessarily expect them to all of a sudden become quiet. But in doing your job, I think that being an introvert doesn't mean that you should not be able to speak up for yourself. And as we learn, we develop ourselves, we grow. If you find yourself in an environment where everybody is extroverted and you feel introverted, does it affect your work? Are they requiring you to always be in the face of people? If you try it 1 day, 2 days, and maybe for a month or two, and it doesn't work for you, you may need to look for another job. But
Okay.
pending the time when you're looking for another job, it's important that we also try to fit into life. I understand that we've spoken about your personality, understanding where you fit in, but it's not like you necessarily have to be in a particular place. I'm just saying you understand yourself, understand the people that you work with, so that you know how to show up for them. If you're introverted, is your work speaking for you? Because you may be in an environment where you need to also speak up beyond your work, because some people are more outspoken, and then somebody else is doing the work behind the scene, and then the outspoken person is getting all the applause. So the important thing here is to know how to strike a balance. If you're not in a toxic environment, but everybody is bubbly, everybody is excited, you you do the best that you can do to be friendly. That is where emotional intelligence comes in. I'm not saying you should now become like every other person, but try to to emphasize on your strengths, so that as they are seeing people that are outgoing, they are also seeing you that are performing and producing results. But this is not to say that if you find yourself in an environment that is a complete fix, that every day you have to wake up because the place is toxic, or because they are making you feel like you are totally out of place, then in such a situation, beyond the salary, you may need to just manage yourself for 1 or 2 months or 3 months, save your money, and constantly be shooting your shots. A moving man will always meet his targets. We understand the kind of situation that we are in Nigeria, and I don't think it's in Nigeria alone, because even people abroad are constantly, the job market is something else now. But if we improve ourselves, one day you will definitely hit where you're supposed to be. But the most important thing is that we should realize that in career, you won't just figure it out one day. It's a daily process. So if you're patient and you keep at it, you will definitely find your feet eventually. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Please let's appreciate our speaker. That was a wonderful answer.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
sorry,
ma'am.
I wanted to say that somebody was asking for the slides. Well, on Instagram, you can send me, you can follow us on Instagram at the Nation Nurture Initiative. I don't know if you can type it for them in the comment section, so that they can send an email or something. I can see a question now from Promise. What
Yeah.
career assessment framework or tool do you recommend for identifying strengths, interests, and career paths, especially for professionals? So this thing then, the truth of the matter is that the internet is a very rich place. We have so many tools that are available for us. I mentioned during the course of my talk that you can there are assessments for your personality type, there are assessments for your temperament type, there are assessments for your leadership types, communication type, relationship type. All of these assessments, most of them are available online for free. And I also have a toolkit that I developed. It's like a table for career assessment, which I can share with you people. If maybe you send me an email, you can also send us an email at the nature nurture initiative at gmail.com, or when you follow us on Instagram, you send a DM, and I'll share this toolkit with those of us that are interested in reading through it and understanding ourselves. There are certain things there. You take the assessment test, and based on the results that you get, it lets you know where your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and what career is a best fit for you. But even if you don't send me a message, if you go online and you just research it, personality traits for career assessments and all of this, you'll be able to find them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. We still have more questions on the chat box, and I would like to read.
Okay. Okay.
Um, this is Princess. A business administration graduate, which career path would you advise I go into, seeing I have a temperament of phlegmatic? I have zeal to do things, but I lack the courage most times.
So having the zeal and not having the courage, I think is something that we need to work on. Being phlegmatic doesn't mean that you should not be confident, or doesn't mean that you should not be able to speak up for yourself. I'm not saying that you need to necessarily be cheerful at all times, but as a business administration graduate, you are not necessarily going to have to be in sales. In my previous office, I had somebody who was, I think he was also a phlegmatic, I think, or a choleric temperament, and his work is mostly just office job. Like he works on his laptop and he produces results. When he needs to present, he presents. Those people that are the HR person on the other hand was more outgoing, interacts with people. So your career path, you may want to do a 9 to 5 if you know that you don't necessarily want to be in the face of people. And so there are 9 to 5s that can set you up for life. If as a business administration graduate, you don't necessarily have to shoot your shot in person. The whole world has gone virtual now. Maybe you can design a pitch deck for yourself, do your slides properly, shoot your shots in people's DMs. Nobody is going to eat you, nobody is going to swallow you. And then there's this confidence that we have at the back of the camera. So if you're not able to walk up to people, you can show off yourself maybe through your publications, through your postings online. But the truth of the matter is that the world is growing and we are constantly adopting. If you don't want to be outgoing in terms of speaking to people, then let your work speak for you. Put out content that speaks to your work, your talents, and then this would help you. I know that as a business administration person, there's hardly any business that doesn't need a business administration person. So in dealing with the admin part of it, you will need to actually build your people skills. You need to build emotional intelligence. It doesn't mean that you have to be the most friendly person. It doesn't mean that you have to be constantly chatting. But make sure that at any time that you have the opportunity, your work speaks for you. And the courage part, I don't think lack of courage is a personality trait. I think that whatever personality you have, you should know that fear is always going to hold you back. Look for how to manage your traits and overcome the fear. I don't know if that has answered your question, but at the end of the day, you need to speak up and overcome whatever fear you have.
I thank you very much, ma. Thank you. We truly appreciate your response, ma. We have other
Somebody
questions
asked me
there.
if I can share slides in
Slide
the comments.
comment.
I can share the slides with Mercy and she can pass it on to you people on your group. I don't know if that will work.
Yes, ma. That would do. Okay, we have a question, a similar question. I just wanted to iterate. Okay, we have one more on the screen. Okay, let me read it out from here. I keep hearing career choice must match personality. Does that mean a phlegmatic can't lead? If his course of study points that way, should he abandon it and rebuild himself? So I think you've said
Okay,
some things
so
in this
so
direction.
leadership is not necessarily a career trait. I be a career option. I can be a lawyer and I'm not necessarily leading in. So that's why I advise us to do assessment on our leadership styles, on our communication styles. You know that there are certain people that are leaders, but the way they lead, if anybody has been in a corporate setting for a while, you understand that leading can take different forms. The fact that I'm phlegmatic or I'm melancholic doesn't mean that I can't be a good leader. It means that the way I would lead will be different from the way another person would lead. Imagine if because I'm melancholic now, I will now set up my business and I'll give somebody else to lead it for me. No, I will make sure that I build the necessary team around the necessary kind of team surround myself with different people to take on different roles. There are certain leaders, for instance, there are certain CEOs in companies that are not necessarily engaged in day-to-day interactions. Maybe they have a head of operations, for instance, that would help them deal with the people aspect. That's why I said it's important that if you are building a team and you are leading, you would identify your strengths and focus on the areas of your strengths. Then you can now bring in people who will be subject to you, who will work under you, who can now make up for the areas where you are not as strong. It doesn't mean that a phlegmatic person cannot lead. We just say that certain things come easily to certain people. One is by doing your SWOT analysis and identifying your areas that you're now able to say, okay, this area I'm not so good at it. Where can I get better, or what steps can I take to get better? Do I need to do that particular thing by myself, or do I need to bring in an extra team member to help me do that particular thing, even as I lead the organization as a whole? I hope that has answered our question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you. Whoa, we still have some questions, but our time is ticking. Our time
Yeah,
is ticking.
they can send me questions in my DM, or they can forward it to me and I will compile and answer.
That will be wonderful. Thank you very much, ma. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the section. I'd like to iterate on some things that was mentioned by our speaker. Some questions under the auditing of your personality, your personal audit. The questions here are: who are you? What do you want to give out? And where are you headed to? These are questions we should ask ourselves and make sure that we answer. Who am I? What matters to me most? What energizes me? What problem do I enjoy solving? So it's not about the job, it's not about the money involved, it's about your person. For us to have a long lasting and impactful job, impactful career, we must look at our personalities and also work on traits that need to be formed. She mentioned and she was so particular about emotional intelligence as she was running up. And it's something that most persons are struggling with. And we have the opportunity to listen today. So it's a call for you and I, core members all over, to work on our emotional intelligence. Your grades, you can have a personality trait audit, but how about your emotional intelligence? So please let's work on that part. And I hope that life doesn't just we don't just flow with the tide, we get the best part of life. So thank you very much, ma'am, for having us today. Our attendance link will be dropped in the comment section. Please make sure you take your attendance before leaving. One more time, let's appreciate our speaker. She did a very wonderful job. And I have a lot. I can't even go through everything here with us personally. I'm going to go back and sit with myself and make sure I internalize everything here. And I hope you do the same too. So this is a wrap for today's webinar. I'm so glad we all were able to make it here. And to those that were not here live, please make sure to come back here and watch the video. It was very impactful. It was filled with so much knowledge and exposition. So please make sure you can also come back to watch in case you've missed out on something or you need more clarity. You can come back and also reach out to our speaker on her social media handles. The slides will be made available too. And don't forget to take your attendance. It was nice having every one of us here on the call. And I appreciate you. I'm looking forward to see you at the top. Please make sure you work on yourself. It is you that matters, not just the job. So thank you very much. Please take your attendance too. Um, let's hold on for our attendance. All right, the link is already on the chat box. Do well to click and fill the form. Don't go off the call without filling the form. So I was the co-host of today's event, and my name is Asiribu Comfort, the national head of Hackathon. And oh, sorry, just hold on a bit. All right, the link has been sent to the group, and this is me saying bye. Thank you for coming. Thank you for attending. And I hope to see DLCs shining and rising in different fields as they find themselves. Thank you very much. Do have a wonderful day. Thank you. Go off for me. I've left.